Welcome to Echo Atlanta Supports Black Lives Matter. This is an open forum, and we're going to be discussing race relations in America, how we can improve them, and what are possible solutions. I'm your host, Otesale, aka Hershey Skin, and my other host,
Mia.
So guys, we have a great panel here today, full of knowledgeable individuals, so we'll start by introducing them.
Don Lucho.
My name is AOR.
DJ Smooth.
AJ.
All right, so let's get into the discussion. So I think a great way to start off the open forum is to talk about, let's define what racism is, first of all. So I have a definition from the dictionary.
All right, so racism is basically the prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief or one's own race is superior.
So I want to start off by asking my panel, do you guys feel like black people can be racist?
Yes, absolutely.
And why do you feel like black people can be racist?
Because like a lot of things, like if imagine if a white person makes the same black joke a black person makes, it's racist. But then when the black person makes that same black joke, it's perfectly okay. So we have that's just to be general and broad, that's virtually what it is.
Okay.
Like you talk about how niggas like say niggas just be
Get right into
it. Like niggas and stuff. And then when white person not say niggas, lo baton, it's finished. That's
First
it.
of all, language was given to us by the white people.
Mm-hmm.
We had our own language.
Mm-hmm.
So we could be racist, bro.
You feel like we can be racist?
I feel like we could be racist. We don't need these language.
No,
I don't feel like
I don't believe that black people can be racist.
So
I remember when I took a class on African American history, they said that, the concept of racism, there has to be an oppressor and someone that's being oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that black people can be biased, but I don't think they can
we
be
could treat
racist.
each other with respect, but
Okay.
I would go for my people.
So I don't think that black people can be racist because even though the definition doesn't say anything about racism or doesn't say anything about power, you have to put in the factor that to be racist, you have to be in power. So even though the definition says nothing about having power, racism is a system of power, and black people are not in charge in the system, or they don't have power in the system. So in order to be racist, you need to have some type of power. But however, black people can be prejudiced, I feel like. They can be, and prejudice and racist are used interchangeably a lot, which shouldn't be done, but yeah.
So if I asked you, you said you don't believe black people are racist, but being prejudiced is also part of, is the definition, it's part of the definition of racism. You just told me that black people are prejudiced, and prejudice is also part of racism.
Like I said, it can be used interchangeably, but it's not the same thing. Racism involves power.
Exactly.
That's why we have systematic racism, we have institutional
See,
racism. Black people are not...
You're putting all these
If we keep it to
prefixes
ourselves, we
for
don't have
racism.
power.
We're not...
Yeah.
You're not racist if you don't have power.
If we have our
In the
own
context,
system,
yeah, definitely.
Actually looking at it.
Okay.
All right. So, let's see. Let's talk about... when we say Black Lives Matter, like, what Black lives are we talking about?
All black lives.
We talking about.
All Black lives, right?
Is
So we're talking
there more
about...
than one black lives?
I mean, no, I'm saying this because when we talk about Black Lives Matter, if you look at people that have been like the face of Black Lives Matter, it's been mostly black men.
Yes.
So I feel like women, homosexuals, transsexuals, they just don't really get enough recognition in the Black Lives Matter movement. So how do y'all feel about that?
I don't think that exists though.
You don't think what?
I don't think like it exists like the way you pinpointing it, because when we say Black Lives Matters, it's talking about us human. Everybody's included. I don't think it should be only for the black people. It's because we are first human being before we become white or black or whatever. So everything should be equal. Everybody's life is precious and should be protected. But at this point, they're trying to target us, and I get it. And that's why we're mad, and I'm mad.
Sometimes there's insufficient focus on the women. And I think there have been some killings of the women too, like in the past. And it's only when men are killed, that's when you have all these, Black Lives Matter, this happens.
Yes.
And we have people like, I think, Kayla Moore
Yeah, they
and
talk about
Reka
women
Boyd
too.
that was actually killed in that same essence too. So I think there needs to be more focus on the women too, if same situation present itself. Not thinking until a man is actually killed before you think that we have to do
Protest.
something or protest about it.
Yes, perfect.
Not even just women. It's like they say, like brown, like someone say brown people, it's everything. Everything is not white. That's what they're trying to say. Like Black Lives Matter, because all the systemic injustice that's been happening that we've been seeing has affected everybody that's not white.
Right.
But right now, it's just affecting the black people so much than other races that they said Black Lives Matter. Like I said, when people say, like, we agree, all lives do matter, but right now, Black lives really matter because that's the people that's the we're basically the target. There's a target on our back.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. But I think when I think of the Black Lives Matter movement, I think that specifically it's geared towards black men.
people.
Sorry.
No.
Well, I feel like
Black
it's,
people in police situations. That's why this shit started. When like law enforcement on like such a situation where you get treated like a criminal just because you're black.
Right.
That's why this started.
But don't you think that has something to do with our system, our country's system?
Well, that right there started with slavery and all that. So we gotta blame that to our ancestors or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We can't help that right now. If we want to help that, we gotta cancel the whole system or start our own
That's
system.
what I'm saying. The system is put in place, right?
It's
And-
already there in place. It's been there for so long. It's hard to change something that's been there for so long.
Yeah, so
Except you start something else.
that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about how black people are treated by law enforcement and how, you know, they're treated differently because of the color of their skin, it's due to the system. Right.
Yeah, that's part of it too. That's part of it too. I say that's part of it too.
I don't think it's the system. I think it's the people in charge of the system. Because when you look at the way the law is written, it's supposed to apply to everyone fairly. But then when you have a judge or a police officer or a chief that already has a racist mindset or is biased towards black people, then you get the situation where a certain group of people are targeted more than another.
Part of the
So let me say this. With the system, I think the problem is this. The people who interpret the system. That's where everything goes wrong. The system is, yes, and it's been like this for years. The people who interpret the system are the ones that give power to these racists, or they put us in a like Bible in a category.
Yeah.
They're the ones that interpret the whole system and they govern it. Not given, like, if you look at it, a lot of these mayors, DAs, ADAs, who are they? How many black people you see that's an ADA, a district attorney?
From slave owners.
Like if you look at that, like, honestly, how many ADAs are black? How many DAs are black? How many police chiefs are black? How many people in power are black? How many mayors are black? Just look at it. So this system is built in such a way that the interpreters are the ones that are white, and they're the ones that are always, they put themselves in power. They're the ones that always dictate everything that happens.
But I don't know, because I feel like my thing is, even if you do have a black person who's in power, like we had a whole black president, you would expect things to change. It doesn't matter if you're.
Let's not even.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say, because you said how many black DAs do you know? How many this? It doesn't really matter. But they're the ones that interpret the. It doesn't matter.
If you go to court,
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
If you work for the system, you're part of the system.
Bro, it's not even.
Matter. Even the black police people, they still kill people in the Bronx, bro.
Yeah.
They still shoot black people in the Bronx.
But like I said, who's their bosses though?
That's a fact.
Who's their bosses? Just who do they take orders from?
And the culture.
It's not I guarantee you, it's not a black person. Who are they taking orders from? The mayor, the police chief, ADA,
they be trained by them too.
Exactly.
So it's something that we gotta like start something else.
I remember some days back I was reading certain articles.
Yeah.
I was talking about like in the earlier days, right, whereby there used to be slavery, right?
Yeah.
And normally American, it's kind of a capitalist market. Those who are actually in power, who owns the money, who have the money, right? And those who are actually below in terms of color, what they tried to do then was to tell them, okay, you are white, right? But you don't have much in terms of the words or what you can do. But you have something that will actually speak for you, which is your color.
Yeah.
So you could actually do that, to be in charge, to do and undo. And I think that actually even spun up to now. So when you see those, in fact, when you see most of all these killing that do occurs, right, when you check it categorically, sometimes there are people who are actually not in terms of, they don't have much at their hand, they are not in power, but they have somebody giving them authority of what they need to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they just go ahead and just do it because they know that at least they have something to show for.
Right.
It becomes a norm after years and years of
Yeah,
working.
and that's actually built up onto what we're
I
actually
feel like
seeing
it's
right
something
now.
that's kind of sort of embedded now. Like they don't even think, they're not even
Yeah.
thinking like what I'm doing is, I'm not treating this person like a human being. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's something that's in their mind or something that has been instilled in them since they were a child.
Absolutely.
So when you're doing these things and you just keep doing it,
It's
it
taught.
becomes like second
It's
nature,
taught.
you know what I
It's
mean?
just like just trying to be an
Nobody is
Akeda or
born
one of-
a
like all
racist.
these
Like playing
things.
Yeah.
football, you have to learn. You learn
Yeah.
how to play football. It doesn't come in, like it's so rare. It comes to you just naturally. But everything you do, a lot of things you do,
Yeah, taught.
it's learned. It's taught.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything is taught.
And
So it starts by, you have to unlearn these things.
yes, but you made a really good point, which is all this stuff is generational. A lot of the times
Yeah.
you meet someone that's a
Right.
cop. Their dad was a cop, and their dad's dad, and their grandfather, all the
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah.
And when you go back to the history of it, like especially in the South,
Ku Klux Klan.
exactly, and a lot of the police officers were actually
Were the
there to
ones-
control the slaves.
Yeah.
They were like the police were the people that went after.
I'm gonna
Like when the
interrupt
slaves
you
ran
for 1
away,
second.
the police went
Let
after
me say
them.
something
Right.
for 1
Okay, let's get back to the discussion that we were having. So I want to talk about the prison system and how it's just not fair. If we really think about it, the prison system is extremely messed up. So I want to know, what are you guys' thoughts on the prison system as is now? Like, do you guys feel like black people are more likely to spend more time in jail for petty crimes as opposed to white people? Or do you feel like it's something that's justified? Like,
Let's start by this. We all know the prison system is a business. Yes. And a lot of things in the prison system, like, unfortunately, the prison system, there are more black people in the prison system than there are any other races. And most of those black people that are there, they come from poor neighborhoods. Yes, the prison system is not fair, but to break that whole prison system is like the journey you have to take to even try to get that system properly correct is almost unfathomable. And you can see, like, people have tried to change it from time to time. But if you look at it, a lot of things happen in the prison system. Like, for instance, like license plates and all that stuff, that's built in prison systems. You use license plates, right? You pay for it, right? You're a part of like I said, if you look at it that way, you're part of the problem. If you look at it that way, like I said, just being realistic with you, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You're supporting that business you're supporting the avenue of why the prison system exists, of free labor.
absolutely not. Actually.
It is like
Absolutely not. Being that we have to be realistic when we talk about
it's
things
okay
like
to
this.
have laws.
We
It's
need
okay,
to-
yeah,
we need to
definitely.
follow. We
Have
have to
laws.
follow laws. We have to, like, if I have, what do you want me to do? Drive around with no license
But
plate
it's
so
a
I can be
business.
arrested?
But if you
It's
look
a
at
business, but
business has to
it's
thrive, right?
mandatory. It's
Yeah.
mandatory.
It has to thrive, right?
So it's not. I'm not a part of the
That
problem.
gives
I'm
life.
doing my part as a citizen, paying my taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my license plate so I don't get pulled over by the police for not having a license plate, so I can enter the system.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to enter the system, so I'm gonna have a license plate. So it's not. I'm not a
course,
part of the problem. Don't put it as I'm a part of the problem.
So-
There's a difference between being a part of the problem and actually following laws, like
Well,
to keep you out of the system.
But I'm just saying, just to be realistic in everything.
Are you being realistic though?
I am being realistic.
Okay.
If you look at it, like I said, the prison system is a big business, and every citizen is funding that business, whether we like it or not. We're funding the business.
yeah, because we're funding the police. I mean, I'm not saying
Actually,
defund the police.
us funding the
but
police, us paying taxes funds that business. So
Yeah.
we don't fund it, like, you know.
No, I'm not-
saying?
I'm not-
From the
We're-
heart.
We're
funding it.
we're not funding it
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
We're funding it indirectly.
Indirectly.
I mean,
yeah,
the
so
same
that's
way
not
we
our
fund
fault though.
schools.
So you can't say we part of the problem. But what I was gonna lay it on is that she said something. I forgot.
Black people go to jail at more higher rates for petty
70%
crimes.
Yes,
of the
yes.
prison population.
And the more you stay in jail, the more the government pays the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they
Even
put us
private
more
businesses.
time. Huh?
I said even private businesses, yeah.
Yeah. So they gain more money. The judges gain more money. So it's all fucked up in the system, bro.
Yeah. But see, but that's not a problem. To me, the prison system is not a problem. Everything goes back to the police because the police make the arrest.
Because they know they're gonna make more money off us. So
They know they make the
fucking
same
us up.
amount of money
No.
off everyone. It's not about who brings in more money. It's the same amount of money between a white inmate and a black inmate. The issue is that the police that make the arrests, They are the problem to me because
true.
the laws are there. Like nothing will ever make robbery legal. Nothing will ever make rape or anything legal. It will always be illegal.
True.
The problem is the police officers that make that initial arrest because
disagree.
they have
They're
discretion.
have to
forced
disagree.
to. Though. I have a friend.
I have to disagree with that statement. Just go ahead.
I have a friend that's a police, and he's told me like while he was a police officer, there's been some times that he's been told, hey, we have to get this kind of quota, get this much, you have to really do your job and catch these criminals, or else you'll lose your job or you will be defunded.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's black people that they catch the most that falls into the category that they're looking for, but that's just is reality.
They look for black people.
They look for black
That's
people,
what I'm
yes,
saying.
for sure.
I
It's
feel
a
like
cat and mouse
our
game.
skin color is a weapon.
A lot of
Our
black
skin
people.
color is definitely a weapon.
Yes, we fit the category. We fit everything.
No, we don't fit the
Don't fit-
category.
don't-
I'm not saying.
and
I'm not
we
saying.
fit-
I'm
it's
not
a
saying as we
stereotype.
fit it. I'm saying as unfortunately, like
But what is the category of a criminal? Martha Stewart is a criminal.
She is.
John
She's a criminal.
Gotti is a criminal. I mean, but they're two completely different
So,
people.
but
They're
you
both
look-
criminals.
you look at it this way. So, like for instance, let's use marijuana. A man can be pulled over for marijuana for having, for having marijuana. But now you see marijuana is being legal in multiple states. But those guys were pulled over before it was legal. They're still in prison. You see that? So I'm not saying like